Hello and welcome back to the OnlyAccies podcast. It has been a while. The last one we did was right at the start of the season. But me and Brandon are back in the studio now. We've got a lot to catch up on, obviously. There's loads going on in the league. Loads of good stuff for a change, so we'll talk about that. Obviously, there's been fan forums with a new owner, Serif Zengin. There's a bunch of new signings on top of that as well. An incredible away day. And then we've got some cool news, some special news right at the end, but you'll have to wait for that. So, Brandon, first of all, how are we? How are you feeling after a fantastic start to the league?
Well, as a person, I'm still recovering from my Prague weekend.
Of course,
I was just back from there. So, but no, it was weird not actually being at an Accies game over the weekend. Obviously, I was keeping a close eye on things. It was a bit worse for wear on the Saturday, but when I heard the news, I obviously went mental within the pub we were in. But no, it has been a decent start to the season. It's weird when, like we touched on, when we first get relegated from the top tier. Obviously, we were looking forward to getting relegated to the championships because we thought this would be the case of what's happening with us just now. So obviously, it's been a long time that we've been in a position like this where we're kind of accustomed to actually winning the games and not being the team that's, if we do win, it's like
it's expected almost.
It's expected kind of now, and even though it is expected, we still go absolutely mental regardless, you know what I mean? But it's a good feeling to actually be that team that's expected to win and having that wee bit of pressure on your shoulders. It's not having to dig in and fight to survive, but dig in and fight to actually win and win something. So no, it's good, and you could say you can ask for a better start. We could have asked for a better start with all the wins.
But is that us being greedy?
That's probably us being greedy. I think, listen, 6 games into the league and won 5, drew 1. Fairly comfortable, and we've got a really strong defence. I think we'll go into sort of positions and how we've played in certain games and stuff like that, and a bit more depth as we go along. But no, it's been good so far. It's
been brilliant, and it's a rare occasion. You touched on it just there about, no disrespect to who we've played, but there's not a game I've went into and not said we should be winning this or we will win this. I don't think I've been as confident going into games as I have been these first 6, you know. Not only that, obviously there's loads of good stuff happening off the pitch as well. A lot of bad stuff still though, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But we've had 2 fan forums now, I believe, since we last did this with new owner Serif Zengin, John Brown, John Rankin, and other board members, and
me.
And of course, by the way, a new signing to the board, Brandon Rykoga, our commercial manager, I think it was.
Somebody was.
Which was one of the most random things that's ever happened. What was the question you asked?
To be fair, like, the forum was going well.
This is the second forum.
And I think questions were quite rightly being asked. And I think at that period when the second forum came along, it's obviously when a lot of the social media stuff from our old social media pages, which is just ridiculous saying, was getting posted, and we're getting told certain stadiums called this, told this. So I thought I would just throw in asking, can I ask what the stadium's called? And quite funnily, no, but the answer which John Brown gave, if John Brown went into quite depth about it, speaking about how it's New Douglas Park and talked about taxi drivers. I think I heard a fan shouting about fake taxi when he said that as well.
Yeah, that was our favourite
Pride of Easco Bride.
Our Pride of Easco Bride, that was.
But then Serif, after the question was answered, said, Brandon, why don't you come up, sort of thing. Obviously make me feel a bit awkward, which I did, I'm not going to lie, but listen,
I thought you handled it very well.
I thought I did handle it very well. I sat up there the full time, and
which I don't know why you did.
I felt awkward having to stand up and leave, but
I just kept looking at you going, why are you still up there?
But no, I think the forums are refreshing, and having 2 already is probably more than we've had in about 4 years in total. So no, it's been both on the park and off the park. There's been a lot of good things happening. Still a lot of things which do need to improve on, like we'll touch on. But no, things are looking promising under our Turkish King.
Turkish King, I know. Yeah, I agree. I think the two forums have been good. He said for anybody who wasn't able to go, he said that they want to do them every 3 months. He wants to do them quarterly. So these should hopefully be a common occurrence. And fans getting into the boardroom, like he'd mentioned at the first forum.
I think that's really interesting, and hopefully that does follow through.
I think maybe I missed it. I didn't note it in my notes because I wasn't sure if I heard it right. But I think he said one was already in on the last boardroom meeting, and he said we're going to continue that. We'll get something for the next one. I didn't notice it.
What John Brown said, what I picked up on is they'd like to have a male and a female attending the next one, and I think that'd be really good. And it's a breath of fresh air, because that's the sort of thing that we've been wanting for a while. We've been sort of kept in the dark for a long period of time and been seen as that burden almost, rather than actually wanting to engage with us. And I think there is a lot of things happening where they're trying to engage. Sometimes they're maybe not doing it in the correct manner, and I think everyone would agree that, but I suppose it's a learning curve for them in a lot of aspects as well. So no, it's the forums have been good. A lot of good questions have been answered. The correct answers have been given to us, and things which are nice to hear, but I think a lot of fans are still in the position where they are treading with a bit of caution, just because there's been so many occasions that within the past where we've sort of got our hopes up and we've started to believe a little bit, and we've had everything just shot down in sort of flames. But I think this time around it does seem it's been going on for a lot longer now, when I think a lot of people can really see the best intentions there from the majority.
Yeah, I think what was needed in the summer happened in the summer. I don't want to say a total clear out, because there is still a lot of people there that were there before, and I'm not saying these people are the ones to blame for anything, but just a good clear out of things. So we've got new owners, we've got a new board, which granted is a lot of the same people, but it's a new worked board. People have different roles. It seems a lot more positive place. A lot of players left, a lot of players came in, and there just seems to be a kind of positive vibe around the club right now, I think and the forums was clearing that. I
think the mentality's changed a lot, and like you said, a lot of attitudes seem to have changed as well, which was truly needed. As was mentioned by a lot of people within the forum, there seems to be this sort of bad smell, if you want to call it that is still lingering around and is looking to cause a bit of chaos throughout, and is dropping a lot of sort of bombs when things are a bit positive, which is having an impact on the fans and is making it harder than what it needs to be. But for the most part, I think with the people that are communicating with us, I think everything is going in the right way.
I think, to be fair, just on that was brought up obviously in both forums, and I think, to be fair, Serif and John handled that pretty well in terms of what they said. I think that what you said earlier on about not feeling like a burden, and these fans forums are a lot more positive, I think that's right, because I remember whenever going to a fans forum previously, it was a wee bit like straight away it was hostile, straight away there was animosity, and it just felt a wee bit like they don't want to be here, I don't really want to be here, but we're doing it purely just because you have to, you're being forced to. Whereas this time round,
it's not as if I've asked for this necessarily. Like, I would say that a forum would be a good idea. We didn't ask for it to be every quarter. No. We didn't ask for the second one to happen. But
it shows their intentions. They 100%. Want to build this relationship, and I think they're doing all the right things right now. I think still a long way to go. It's still very, very early on in the process. I mean, they took over right at the start of the season, so we're only about 2 months into it. So
exactly. So there's a long way to go, but a lot of the things they are doing, they've got the right intentions. It's a learning curve for them as well. This is completely new to them, so I think that's why they'll lean on a lot of people as the sort of time goes along to try and start to do things the right way. And I think as time goes on, things will just keep on improving, as long as there's no sort of hurdles within the way. Obviously, when things on the park are going well, that's obviously going to filter through to things off the park, but I do believe that a lot of the things which they are doing off the park, regardless if the results were going right or wrong, they're doing it in the correct way.
I think just before we move on to talk about the football, just last thing on this, I think that there will be hurdles that appear off the pitch. It's going to happen every season, whether you're Accies or somebody else, but what I feel a little bit more confident about, when these hurdles appear, they'll be dealt with in a more professional manner. That's what I'm thinking right now, depending on the hurdle, but I'm thinking if something...
A hurdle from Iceland, maybe?
Maybe, from Australia, all the way for Australia. But I feel like if something was a hurdle was to appear, I feel like it would be dealt with more professionally nowadays with these people in charge. So that's something I'm hoping.
That's, in my opinion, it's, and I really don't want to come across as if we're undermining people that were there previously and that, because there's people like some of the people that used to be in the club have done absolute wonders for us. If it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have experienced so much time in which we have. However, it was clear that some sort of change had to happen. It was clear that it was meant to be, it should have been a complete overhaul. As Sarah said, and I think one of the most interesting things about that fans forum second time around was about buying the stadium.
Yes.
And I think with that would come the complete overhaul that was needed. You obviously mentioned a few sort of pie in the sky things about 4 stands and whatnot, but let's be honest, if things are done the right way and the engagement's there and a whole, like the marketing and just everything's done right, then why the fuck not? Do you know what I mean? We're a big town. I know we're near the Ugly Sisters and whatnot, but we're a town the same size in Motherwell. Do you know what I mean? You see supports growing constantly of teams that are a lot less than us. So why not, if things aren't done? If things are done the right way, then I don't see why the ideas can't come to fruition. Absolutely.
Now let's go to the football then. Brandon, 6 games in, 6 games unbeaten. We have dropped points to Stirling, who sit in third, so by no means a hugely less opposition, but I mean...
2 words. Not good enough.
Not good. I mean, we kind of touched on it at the start about maybe we're being greedy looking for 6. I do think we should have won the Stirling game.
We should have won it. We're 2-0 up at half time.
I do think we should have won it, but I think, to be fair, there isn't much going wrong, I think, in the league so far. There are improvements, of course, still to be made. We're only 6 games in, but I do think we are better than the opposition we've came up against so far, and I think we're shown that. In my opinion, the biggest tests will be against Falkirk and Queen of the South going forward. And again, don't want to jinx anything, touch wood. I do think it's turning into a wee bit of a 2-horse race already. We're 6 points clear of Stirling in third, so Falkirk will be the biggest test. Their game's coming up soon as well, so yeah, it goes without saying I'm very happy.
Queens at the weekend, I think they'll be there or thereabouts as well, in my opinion. But judging from what I've seen so far, you're spot on. It's Cove. Just obviously
I thought they'd be up there, man.
I thought they would maybe be there or thereabouts as well. But listen, we're very early on, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're only 6 games into the season, but so far it is starting to look like that sort of 2-horse race between us and our old enemy, fucking
HMS Pistol League is on its way, boys.
But no, football wise, I think obviously we've had the 5 wins, the 1 draw. The draw was, from what I've heard, obviously I wasn't at the game at the weekend there against Alloa, but I heard that the game against Stirling was actually far more comfortable than the Alloa game was, which just shows you that you're 2-0 up at half time. I think we had mountains of chances that Stirling game as well, and I think that's probably one of the only frustrations of the on the part stuff, which fans seem to be on the same sort of boat with, is just an ability to perhaps finish more of the chances which we create.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we're creating chances in abundance, but we seem to be just not putting them away in the manner in which we should. You're seeing your Falkirk, they're comfortably disposing of teams. Definitely. They're scoring a lot more goals than us, which is
15 goals in 6 games,
which is it's not frightening, but it's worrying. So I think we're doing a lot of the things right. Our defence is completely spot on. I think with the team's gelling, there's a lot of confidence. It's a really good place to be. I just think going forward we need to be more clinical, which has always been a sort of issue that we've got, that we've had over the years. So we need to sort of sort that, and we also need to maybe start changing things up, I think, slightly, because again, it seems as if we are sticking to I don't want to come across negative, but it does seem like we're sticking to the same setup, the same sort of manner a lot of the times, which we don't want to turn into a one-trick pony, if you know what I mean. Like, yes,
we need a plan B.
We need a plan B. Right. We've obviously not really came up against it that often yet. and I wouldn't expect us to come up against it that much, because I feel that we are the top two, if not the top team within the league, so we should be just going by teams with ease without much sort of bothering us. But there's going to be times where we're not at our A game, like we weren't at the weekend, so we need to have a plan B. And listen, don't take it away for the weekend, get a last minute goal. It's usually against us that come, but we definitely need to have some other tricks up our sleeve and not just be sticking to the one.
Yeah, no, listen, I would completely agree with you. I do think that his 4-3-3 is working right now. I'm happy with it, but I do agree there are times, the Alloa game being an example of that, where I think we looked the better team in the first half. I think the second half, they started to get a lot more in the ball and started to dominate possession a little bit more, and that's when they hit the bar, they hit the post. Fulton pulled off a good save, and which is another talking point we can touch on. But I do think that a plan B is necessary, and we don't have one right now. I think the changes that are getting made a lot of time are like for like changes. It's Joe McGinn coming on through the middle. It used to be Oni coming off out wide, Smith coming off out wide. Big. By the way, we've not spoken about Ryan Oni.
Yeah, we'll go into him as we talk about signings and people.
I don't want to talk about him, to be honest.
It's
see all the Accies fans commenting under videos on Twitter of him scoring and all that. I'm like, I don't want that in my feed.
Nah,
I don't want to.
Not.
We
will go to the top.
I'm blocking his name on Twitter.
We will go to the top.
I'm blocking his name on Twitter, mate.
But then you won't see anything that says one.
Don't care. Ballon d'Or, I'm not watching it, mate. Don't care. No, I agree. A plan B, I do think that probably another striker is needed.
Yeah.
And obviously there was a rumour we were in for one. What was his name? Joel... What was his name? Joe...
I don't know, mate. I've been away the past week. And
what was his name, man? Joe Mbongo was somebody we were linked with. Not heard anything about that since, so don't know if that's happening. Don't know if that was even a thing. I think he was spotted in a trial and all that, but...
I think we've had about 8 million trials so far.
Yeah, that's true. So that could be absolutely nothing, but I do think another striker is necessary. I think something different to what we've got now. So, you're looking at somebody over 6 foot, and somebody who is more of a target man, I think. And I think, talking about your plan B, I think the plan B could potentially be him, or this striker, whoever he may be, if we sign one, and Kevin O'Hara up top together.
I think it's a bit harsh on Joe McGinn.
Oh, no, but and I will stop you before you say anything else. I'm Joe McGlinn's number one fan.
Because I feel that anytime I've saw him, and obviously know he scored at the weekend, anytime
impressive.
He's been impressive. He's a handful, he's fast, he's big, he's
powerful,
strong.
Yep.
So that's maybe another case that we've had over the past sort of year and a half, where Vankin does seem to have some of his favourites, and might be the case that unfortunately McGinn just isn't at that level. Listen, we don't know what they're like in training, etc. So it might be the case that he just isn't putting the effort. I don't know. I don't think that would be the case, but I don't know.
I think Joe said in an interview after Joe, first name basis, I think he said in an interview after the game that he wasn't fully fit when he was playing pre-season, like in the cup and that as well, and he's now starting to get back to full fitness. And like I said, I really, really like Joe McGinn. I think seen him in the cup games. What was the cup game he scored in? He scored, I think, 2 goals in the cup in the group stage, but I remember seeing one of them, and just as you said, his speed and his power really impressed me, and I do want to see a lot more of him. And so when I saw him come off the bench and I saw him got a goal, I thought that is only going to do his confidence a world good, and his stake in the team as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he started on Saturday. I don't think he will, but if his name is in the team sheet, I would say fair play, you've earned that, and I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be very happy with it because I like Joe McGinn a lot, but I do think a more target man figure should be a target of ours.
It just shows you as well the fact that I think it's kudos to Sheriff and Rankin, etc., that the fact we've brought all these players in so early, and we're actually 6 games into the season and we're actually still
100%
improving on what we've got. Usually we'd be at this stage and this is us actually just starting to fucking scrape the barrel and get our signings in with having half the squad which we had the season before. So the fact that we're now in a position where we're saying, well, could we go another one? we don't really need it, but it would definitely strengthen us sort of thing, rather than just saying, no, we need to fill this gap.
Yeah, 100%.
So it just, again, another completely breath of fresh air in the manner in which we've went about things for a change. So another good thing. But yeah, no, I would agree that it would be good to get another striker in. I think we're missing something from a typical Accies team. So yeah, it would be good to have someone else brought in.
So something you've always mentioned is, it takes us till Afajani till the team starts gelling. Usually to the end of the season we start to come in. That's where our results come that save us for relegation and stuff. And I do think, like you said, what you said is right there, is getting our signings done early means that we're kicking off the season with a team that know each other, a team that are gelled well. I think all the players that are signed are mostly on 1 year or 2 year deals. So a lot of that means obviously when it comes to the end of the season, we're not having to rebuild an entire squad over and over again like we've done year in, year out. I think the players that we bought were quality players rather than previous windows where it's been, I always throw back to Martin Cannon's window where McGinn and Martin were signed, and it was like 15 players signed, and it was throw shite in a wall and hope one or two stick. Luckily Martin and McGinn did, but all 14 players, 15 players that have came in have played their part, and I don't think there's been one disappointment where you've I thought he could do a little bit better, I thought he could be doing more and all that. So I'm impressed with every signing we've made. I think they've been good quality signings that have came in either in a free or whatever it may be, but they've came in on deals that were tied down to their, and that was something Sarah said at the start of the season, they want to be our players. Obviously a loan or two wouldn't have been a bad thing from, say, Hearts, for example, but the players were brought in, really good quality. I'm really impressed with them. I'm happy.
I think, obviously Connor Smith would have been brilliant, and that whole
saga
was a bit of a fucking shambles, let's be honest with you. It's unfortunate, and obviously we're hearing that the sort of agent's probably been the issue there, which I don't not believe for a second, probably was, but when you see him going to a fucking, was it 70
National League North, not even,
it's just, I know Scunthorpe are a fairly big team, they've got well supported, etc. They've obviously fell down the leagues and that, but it's just it's frustrating because we obviously mentioned that he comes in, he's a star boy, he's going to have all the fans behind him, he was at the games, blah blah blah, and he would have no doubt then kicked on and probably went on to bigger and better things. But oh well, we've obviously brought in the players in which we have, like you mentioned there, mate. I don't think there's really been a disappointment in any of the players that we have brought in. I think we've had a complete overhaul of the squad, and there's been players that have been brought in for starting, and then there's been players that have been brought in to be on the bench. And I think the ones that in all sort of areas, whether they be brought in as a sort of first 11, a regular, a starter, or whether they be as a sort of squad player, I think they fit their sort of, not role, they fit their, so if they fit a squad player, I think they're decent squad players. If they first 11, they fit well for there. So I'm happy with the signs we made, and I think, like you said, they've all gelled very well. But we just need to sort of start having that sort of B plan, C plan, and sort of start changing things about a wee bit, because I think they're all capable of not just sticking to the one sort of setup. But that being said, the old saying, don't fix something that's not broken. We're not exactly broken at the moment, but it would just be good to have these different tricks up our sleeves so we can go and actually give a team a proper doing the manner in which Falkirk are, because I think we are more than capable of doing so, taking a lot off teams. It's just I don't think we're attempting to do that as of yet. I
think that's fair enough. I'm going to tie in with a fan question just now. We usually do these at the end, but this one is fitting to the current situation. Ian HAFC has asked, which player has been better than expected so far? So what player signed in that you maybe didn't expect as much of, and they've really kicked on?
That we've brought in.
Yes. He's not said brought in, but I'm going brought in.
I've been surprised with Jamie Smith. When Filton's been out, I thought that I think every fan was a wee bit worried when Filton was out. That obviously when we perceived Jamie Smith previously, he was quite small. We didn't seem that confident, and we're a bit worried that if teams get a chance, they'd sort of take advantage. But fair play to him. Play of the month for the first month of the league, and they didn't put a foot out
No.
a place, really. I thought the thing that was most refreshing about his performances was his confidence and actually coming for the ball. I didn't expect that from him at all. So no, fair play to Jamie Smith. But in relation to the players signed that I've been surprised about, like I was obviously Jamie Jonas, his biggest sort of fan signing him, so I've not been surprised about him. I think technically he's brilliant, and once he gets his fitness up to that sort of full time level, I think he will be one of the best players in that team, hands down.
You can already see a big improvement for his fitness from just even when we saw him when he first signed. And I remember when he first signed, I was sitting with David, and David said he doesn't look like he's training like a full. Obviously, it wasn't at the time, but he didn't look like he was training as a full-time player. But you can see that now, 6 games in. He looks fitter, he looks stronger, he looks quick, and as you said, technically he's one of the best in the team.
I don't know if there's anything that I'm surprised
this
about.
Is my point.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's a hard one to say that you're surprised with him, because everyone that we've brought in, they've came for a fairly decent standard for playing at League One, so you're not going to think that any of them were going to be poor in any respect. So I don't think there is anyone I'm surprised about, if I'm being honest with you. And
fair enough.
I don't think the one that I think's probably been our best player so far that we've brought in, I think Jonas is definitely up there. Obviously O'Hara's got a bit of a hard job in the manner in which he's playing. Obviously he's been getting a wee bit of criticism for that penalty missed late on against Stirling, and obviously his sort of finishing, but I think without him on the park we wouldn't have been creating anywhere near half the chances which we have. I like McDonald. I really
very
like
good.
him. I think he's an absolute machine, and he's a really good player. But I'm trying to pick someone out to try and force myself to say I'm surprised with him, and there's nobody, mate.
It's a great sign. Let's talk, Brandon, now about an away day. Let's talk about Coleraine, Northern Ireland. Because I'll tell my side of the story,
okay,
and then you tell your side of the story, because we have
I can't really tell my side of the story. Obviously, we've had it documented ever so slightly within the video, which, by the way, is if you've not seen that, which I'd be very surprised if you've not, go and check that out just now, because I think there's fair play to Ben for being the tech whiz and obviously putting that together. But I think that video is just something that fans will watch.
Aye.
Forever. It was just phenomenal.
Thank you. So I'll tell my side of the story, you tell you, because we have two very different sides. So Coleraine, I'm flying out first thing in the morning. I think the flight was like 7 o'clock in the morning. Get to the airport, it's a sea of Accies shirts. And
which is insane.
Which is brilliant in departures.
Good, but it's not something that we've ever came accustomed to.
Well, who was it? A fan came up to us and said, any tourists will be arriving here. I think Hamilton Accies is the biggest team in Scotland because there'll be so many people there.
Massive, you know what I mean?
We are massive, mate. I agree everywhere we go. But that was brilliant. All the fans obviously on the plane, photos outside the plane, etc., flying over, songs as we land. We were all staying basically in the same hotel. So there was a bus then full of Accies fans all going to the hotel. We were exploring Belfast a little bit, and then check your phones. And flight's delayed. A flight for the players who were leaving on the same day. We don't want to dwell too much on that because it was a brilliant away day in that, but obviously it was a huge talking point. And we're in Belfast already. We're going, is the game going to get delayed? Is the game going to get cancelled? Is it going to get rearranged? Obviously people had flight plans the same day. We had flight back the Sunday, so if the game was delayed, it wasn't too much of a hassle for us. But then obviously all the thoughts suddenly went to the fans like yourself who were on the ferry over, that was 4 o'clock in the morning, leaving on the bus.
Yeah, listen, like over the years I've became accustomed to going to away days, going to your sort of your counties, your Inverness, stuff like that at 9 o'clock in the morning. Even at that, when you're having a can of Tennent's at that time, you're like, fuck, what am I doing with my life? When it comes to fucking 4 o'clock in the morning and you're drinking a can of fucking Tennent's, usually I'd be doing that at a gaff, fucking, no just fucking leaving to go to a fucking away day. So, insane. Bus was obviously full, leaves at 4 in the morning.
Shout out to John Patterson and all that as well for organising all that.
Even though he wasn't there.
Brilliant.
Honestly, thank you so much, because it was such a great trip and something that we'll remember for no doubt the rest of our life. But leaves at 4 in the morning. We get to sort of Stranraer, we go on the ferry. I can't remember the exact time that we I think we're on the ferry when we find out.
You will be.
Yeah, we're on the ferry when we find out, because that's right, because we're obviously a bit worse for wear by this point. It's only like fucking 8:30 in the morning and we're all fucking extremely intoxicated, and we start thinking, right, who's going to play then? And we start picking up teams of fans and sort of putting our start 11. I was playing holding midfielder.
Of course,
dictating the play, sort of.
You're a finalist in the five-a-side tournament.
Yeah, Lee McCulloch.
Lee McCulloch.
Yes, won the trophy last year. STV kids, can't even remember the name of it. I've won that many in my day. Right? But aye, so we picked the team and we're thinking, right, this can't be for real, and then obviously find out, no, the game is going to go ahead, blah blah blah, but it's going to get delayed. So that was really annoying. Obviously we don't want to dwell on it too much because it was a really class day regardless, but yeah, we get to the game. Seraph and John Brown come over, shake our hands, blah blah blah, talking to everyone. Fans were in brilliant voice, like really good. Obviously the fact that we took over 300 while Scotland were playing that weekend as well. Obviously another plane full of fans didn't go, but because I say playing a group of fans that were meant to go in the later plane didn't go because they wouldn't have made the full game anyway. So that taking 300 when there's a lot of other fans that would potentially have been there as well is a really good going for Accies, but we are massive. But then we get the win as well. I think a lot of people were quite sceptical how we would do against Coleraine, but I thought we handled the game very well. They had obviously a few chances which they could have taken up, but good win, brilliant away day. Really sad that I didn't manage to sort of clap them off. I was really frustrated by that because obviously I've been waiting in a sort of game like that, growing abroad. Obviously I hope to see them in Europe, which Seraph says is the aim, so fingers crossed I see them at Besiktas away at some point.
Get your hair and your teeth done when you're over there.
I'll be getting my hair done if it's in 2 years' time, put it that way. But no, it was a brilliant away day. The video encapsulated it all, and I just hope that we dispose of East Kilbride next round and manage to get TNS in the following round.
See, when we were flying back, a little story for you. When we were getting back to the airport next morning, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was, and Joe McGinn, O'Brien and Hewitt were all in the airport. A lot of players obviously stayed in Belfast Saturday night to enjoy, and let's say they looked worse for wear the next day, and so they're on our flight and you can see them kind of going, oh fucking hell, hungover, it's the last thing I need, man. But nobody bothered them in that. And then walking out the airport, I ended up next to Hewitt, chatting away to him and all that about the game and about the hassle with the plane and all this. And I go, did you have a good night last night? He goes, aye. And I went, listen, it'll just be our luck, man. We'll get New Saints away in the next door. And he went, I don't know if I can handle that.
Funny note on Hewitt, whilst we're talking to him. So on the bus, we're all sort of thinking about ways how we could pass the time. So we're talking about players that might not have songs already.
Right, okay.
So obviously Hewitt being one of them.
Did you stop off at Pizza Hut with your wee notebooks and all that?
No, that was a few years ago. We don't speak. So Hewitt was the one that came up, and I don't know if you remember, do you ever had some chewits before in your life?
Can
you remember the chewit advert from years ago?
I can't, man, you need to.
I like to chew it. I like to chew it. So I like to hew it. I like to hew it. So
fair enough. No, I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Looking forward to hearing it. I think Hewitt's one of the ones, just very quickly, he drops into that category of.
Don't think I really know much.
Well, that's what I mean.
Still, do you know what I mean? He's obviously been brought in. He was a sort of squad player at Ayr, and there's no much that we've really saw about him to be able to judge. So
he's done his job whenever he's came off the bench. It's as much as we can say. But no, listen, to wrap up Coleraine, man, what an away day. The actual game itself, I think I don't know if we maybe this has been unfair. I don't know if we maybe underestimated Coleraine a little bit, because again, it was one I was confident going over. I did think we would get the win, but I do think they were playing some good football, man, especially right at the start.
Yeah, and
they had a few really good chances. That wee number 7 was really, really impressive. The one that nearly killed Lewis Smith. Should have been. It was the most straight red card I've ever seen watching Accies. I think, man, that was unreal.
Ridiculous. Every cunt was going mental.
It was insane, man. It was absolutely insane. But Lewis Smith also, by the way, goal and assist as well. Shout out him.
Started to kick on about time. I'm sure he would admit that himself. So
Aye, he has. Yeah.
I think he was justly dropped at the weekend.
Yeah, I agree.
Heard. So, no, fair play to him. He's kicked on, and hopefully he continues the form he's had recently.
Definitely. But listen, a really good 3-1 win puts us in the hat. Obviously, as you say, with Drew East Kilbride away in the next round.
Another fucking game I'll miss because
really, are you away?
Scotland Spain game.
What date's that?
It's a Thursday, but I'm away for the week.
So yeah. But listen, again, no disrespect to EK, but I do think we should be beating EK.
Them well. I know a lot of people are saying EK have started the season well, and I think they've had a few really decent results actually, where they've put away teams fairly comfortably. But their team shouldn't be any sort of match for us. They shouldn't. Obviously, they've got the Black Rooster man as their manager. Shout out to Mick Kennedy. If you
Shout
like,
out
give
Mick
me
Kennedy,
a
mate.
free Black Rooster, then Brandon Goggill. I fucking love Black Rooster, but
no, listen, no disrespect, Mike. It's so overrated.
Nah,
it's so overrated, man. It is. It just is.
Get in the bin.
It just is overrated, mate. I don't know what to do.
I know I'm plugging them right now, but Black Rooster is honestly the best food.
If you want a sponsor, OnlyAccies, I'll take back what I just said.
It is by far the best food in Scotland, easily. Black Rooster tops it all.
All right,
but
I'll clip that and tag him in it and try and get us a sponsorship with it. Black Rooster sponsors OnlyAccies podcast.
But no, in all seriousness, we should be beating them.
Yeah.
They have done really well. I was surprised how well they actually have been doing. I think they probably will come up to.
I think so, yeah.
League Two next season. I think they've played a few teams that are sort of within the pyramid just now, and they've disposed of them as well. I watched them pre-season against Ayr. I think they get beat 2-0, but they threatened them quite a lot as well. But seem to have gelled a wee bit now, and let's not underestimate them at all.
Not
but
at all.
It's a game that we definitely should be winning.
Aye, definitely now.
But if you want to give me a Black Rooster, then even like a wee loyalty card of that, then
a Black Rooster, what is it called? A black card?
A black card.
See, you used to get Nando's black cards for celebrities and all that. You get a wee Brandon Cockle black card, Black Rooster, free food.
My life would be complete, honestly.
Is Black Rooster genuinely the best for you?
Yes, I have one a week.
Seriously?
Yes, one a week. I've actually not had one this week, so I'll be having one tomorrow. I might go for one tonight.
Leave us, you know, straight in the car. That's mental. Fair enough. Obviously, coming up at the weekend.
Leave in your comments what you think about Black Rooster.
Is Black Rooster favourite of yours? Let us know. Tag Mick Kennedy in this tweet when we announce the podcast. Tag Mick Kennedy. Listen, coming up to the weekend, Queen of the South away. I'll miss that. Unfortunately, I'm away in Manchester. But
What for?
Do you want to know what for? Yeah. I'm touring. I'm touring Old Trafford. Is what I'm doing, mate. For my dad's birthday.
Right, okay,
and we're Man United fans here, our English side, and we're touring.
Are they playing?
No, they're away to Burnley.
It's unfortunate.
Not very exciting, but they're away to Burnley.
Maybe I get tickets for that, no?
Possibly, but I'm not going to Burnley.
Poor Burnley.
I'm not going to Burnley, mate. If I'm going anywhere, I'm going to Old Trafford. But so touring Old Trafford, so I'll miss obviously the game on Saturday. What's your kind of thoughts ahead of that? I know you said at the start Queen of the South would be up there. I think they will be, but
there's been a few games where I've went into them and been like, oh, this is probably our toughest test yet. I think this is our toughest test yet. Yeah. I think this is where we'll be able to properly see like where we're at, sort of thing. That's fucking shite saying where we're at. We're fucking joint top of the league. Do you know what I mean? But
it's a good test for us.
It is a good test for us. I know they've not particularly done the best at home this season. I think they've had a few defeats. Reading Pie and Bovril, and I think we have tended to do quite well down there. We seem to have a pretty good run.
Just looking at it quickly, sorry, they've lost 3 games so far this season. 2 of them have been at home.
So realistically, we should be beating them, right? Do you know what I mean? So if we want to be winning this league and we want to continue the form we're on and want to be that force that is going to be up there and hopefully winning the league. It's a game that we need to be winning, especially with how they've started. But they're not a team that you need to take lightly. Obviously, they've got Mimno in there, who's apparently been doing really well for them. A lot of the comments I've been reading on Pine Ball, I've been pretty surprised about. But they do have a fair few good players. Marvin Bartley, I think, is an alright manager as well. So, listen, it'll be a test. It's a really good away day. It's one of my favourite away days, actually. So I'm looking forward to that. But hopefully by fucking 5:15 on Saturday we're going back up the road with 3 points, but it's not going to be easy.
No, definitely not. Do you want to tie in with some fan questions now?
Yeah, definitely.
Get a few of them going. So we asked you on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook if you had any questions. We'll start off probably the most important question you'll get asked today. It's from Stephen Donahue, who's asked, do you prefer roasted cheese or toasted cheese? Is it roasted cheese or toasted cheese?
Cheese and toast.
Interesting, roasted cheese for me. All right, I appreciate that, Stephen. Thank you for joining in. John Joe has asked a few questions, but we'll break it up a little bit. So he's asked, Jamie Smith won Player of the Month. Who's been your Player of the Month so far for September?
For September, who have we played in September?
So I think we've only had 2 games. in September. But he's asked for Player of the Month.
See, I can't judge from Alloa.
You've missed that, of course.
Lewis Smith.
Lewis Smith.
From what I've seen.
I don't think that's unfair at all.
But you're down saying Scotty Martin's just expected to be a certain level. I think he has dictated a lot of the play as well. But no, I'll get to Lewis Smith.
I know. I think that's fair enough. Looked good against.
Look at his assists. Look at his goals. Do you know what I mean? A lot of the goals we scored have came through him. So, I'll go with Lewis Smith. I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to go Jackson Longridge. I think Jackson Longridge was probably one of the players that when we signed I thought came from a good level. I can't say he's somebody that I've seen a huge amount of, but he obviously came at a good level, playing consistently in the Prem for Livy. And I thought he's done brilliantly. I thought when he was playing at centre-half, he looked like a left-back at centre-half. I went through that, but in at left-back, I think he's been very good. He's not put a foot wrong in any of the games. I think he was voted by the Accies fans on OnlyAccies as man of the match last time out. I think it was against Alloa he was voted man of the match. So I'll go with him. John Joe has also asked, do you have a goal of the month? Goal of the month?
I'm going to give it to Joe McGlynn's 90th minute winner.
I saw it. Credit to Jessica Forrest for her video, because otherwise I wouldn't have saw it. Actually, Alloa put it up. I think Alloa went a wee bit of hissy fit because
they did highlights.
Yeah.
Oh, they replied to her, didn't they?
Yeah, Jessica put it up. So that is against the law. Fuck up. Keep crying.
You lost header tennis. You lost the game.
See, when I saw that, man.
Well,
I saw a tweet which I thought was fucking hilarious, and it was something like, what have Hamilton became to? I remember when you dared not go down to that corner because you'd be hit with a pie, a coin, a vape or some sort. Now you're playing heading tennis, which is true, because I just remember reminiscing, obviously, but talking about some of the games and sort of the old sort of championship and the Premiership against like your Dundees, your Murrows, etc. That time that the Dundee game get sort of delayed because all the sort of stuff that was going on down the corner, Falkirk as well. So when you see people playing heading tennis, you know what I mean? Fair play. If that's what you want to do, you do you.
Right, so goal of the month. I'm giving it to Joe McGlynn.
Goal of the month. So who have we played so far? So we played Coleraine, we've played Alloa and...
Coleraine, Alloa, Stirling and Montrose. Would Montrose be in this month? Stirling, Coleraine and Alloa.
Lewis Smith at Coleraine.
Nice, good goal, good finish. Peter Brown has asked, should McGinn be allowed to go out on loan rather than sit on the bench playing 2 UEFA League games and going back to the bench or stand? I don't think that's a terrible idea.
I think it's pretty unfair on McGinn. Obviously, we've brought in a lot of fullbacks this season. We've got a lot. So I think McGinn obviously was touted. I think a lot of people are saying he might be going to Rangers B at the start of the season.
Celtic and Rangers apparently were interested
for their B teams, but I think he's a really good player. Whenever I see him I saw him in the 19s, 18s, whatever previously, and you saw him in a few games before that, he's been good. I think there might be a slight issue between him and Rankin there, if I'm being honest with you. I think after he had a certain game last season, you just never saw him again. So I don't know if something happened there, but I think a loan would be good for him. Obviously, they're keeping certain players because they can play in that sort of 19s bracket / reserves, because there's a few players in there that are there now that are too old to be playing for the under 18s. On that note, obviously UEFA League we've still got this season as well, which will be really good, drawing away to Mold and at home, so that'll be really good, and hopefully fill NDP for that. But on the McGinn note, definitely get him out on loan. Get him. I'm more than certain that there would be a team similar to Ferguson's in League One that would do a job within, and that'll just strengthen him. Put him in a part-time team, have him train at Accies full time, and then get him some more game time to help develop him, because he's definitely one for the future.
Definitely. MD has asked, the board is really back John Rankin. We have a better and should be fitter than almost all of the teams. In that context, is Rankin making the best of what he has?
5 wins and a draw out of 6. I still think, like we've touched on earlier, that we could be doing better.
We can improve.
I think we can improve. I think we can be disposing of teams better. I don't think that we've obviously touched on it, that I don't think the setup was particularly the best. I don't think we changed things up too much, but don't change things. I suppose it isn't broke, but I think we should be doing better. I think that Alloa game, from what I've heard, we rode a luck. I think they hit the bar or something.
Hit the bar, hit the post.
If that goes in, it's a completely different game. We've obviously won a couple of games 1-0, etc. So I think we can be doing a lot better. I don't know if we're utilising the players we've got in the right manner. So I think there is room for improvement there, but you can't be too critical because we're still winning games.
No, fair enough. Jack has asked, do you think Ohana should start? He says, personally, I don't think so.
Yes, but with someone else up top.
Yes, I completely agree. I think that when he's put up top by himself, he does a hell of a lot of running, and I think that he gets himself in these opportunities. I don't think he's the clinical striker that we need, but I do think he can be very effective, and he's been very effective.
He is very effective, and it is obviously, he's not a clinical striker. We were told that before he came, like sort of Dunfermline fans, etc., that he's not going to be a sort of 15 goals a season striker, but his work rate's second to none. He creates a lot by the effort which he puts in and gets us up the park. So I don't think it's fair to drop him, but I definitely need someone up closer, not just two wingers.
Yeah. No, definitely. I agree with that. Ethan has asked, thoughts on the future of Shunata and his place in the team right now? I thought initially at the start of the season we would be seeing Shunata gone, and I held that opinion pretty much until Coleraine. I held that opinion. I'm not saying that him scoring that's himself sorted now, but I held the opinion that he's not going to play. If he does, it's going to be a cameo's appearance off the bench, and I do think he'll be bought, he'll be released, or whatever it may be. But I think scoring at Coleraine, played well at Coleraine as well, not just with the goal, but I think he has showed that he still has plenty to offer, and he is a talented player. We've always said this, that technically Dario Shunata is a good footballer. So I still think he has something to offer. I don't think he doesn't start for me right now, but coming off the bench as a different option on the last 15, 20 minutes, if I try to break a team down, I don't think he's a bad option.
Listen, I was pretty much certain he was gone. Before the start of this sort of season, and as the season progressed until sort of the final day of the season, I was certain he would be gone. But I think rankings always held them fairly high, even though his performances haven't been there. Like you said, I think nobody's ever said that he's not a talented player. He's shown that with clubs he's been at previously. I think the only sort of the main criticism of Shunata from anywhere he's been, including Accies fans, has been the sort of effort and not delivering in comparison to what his ability is. So listen, I don't know if he's sort of upped his game within training, but he's been starting to become getting involved a lot more and more sort of as of recent. So I think he still has something to offer, and although there are players that I would probably have in front of him at the moment, if he keeps on maybe delivering more and more as time goes on, then who knows. Plus I think he's a really good person to have in the dressing room as well. He showed that way.
He's a good laugh. Liam Johnson has asked, do you think Fergus Owens was hard done by getting put out on loan?
Yes.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. I think that He was a really good performer in the Championship last year. I know we went down, but he was a good performer. He's still only 20 years old. He's still young. It's a position that I thought we needed depth in at the start of the season, and I don't think he's anywhere near a bad option to have off the bench. We have obviously been told, we spoke about it in the Twitter spaces we did, that he is still very much in the club's plans.
Still waiting on our commission for getting McGinn signed.
Well, we know he watches, so if you're watching this,
money over, mate.
Send you the details. But so is he hard done by? Probably yes. I do think he still had plenty to offer in the team, but I can kind of understand why. We've got Kildare, we've got McGowan, we've got O'Brien, who hasn't put a foot wrong. I think they're probably saying to him, listen, you're not getting in ahead of these three. Go out and loan playing games. It's only till January, so I'm assuming at January they'll revisit it and either bring him back in if they think they need him, or they'll maybe extend it for the rest of the year. But hard done by, probably going off of what we've seen of him, yeah. What do you think?
I think last season, obviously it was his sort of break-in season, if you want to call it a breakout season, whatever, and that was in the Championship, and I thought he done pretty well. I thought he's fast, he was pretty composed in the ball. I suppose he was prone to a sort of slight bit of error with sort of way in which he would distribute the ball, but I think that was more down to sort of inexperience. I think putting him out on loan, he's obviously dropped down the pecking order. He wasn't really going to be getting a game. He signed O'Brien in front of him as well. So a loan will do him good, but I would really not like to see him move sort of permanently. I think he definitely has a place to play within Hamilton Accies moving forward.
Definitely right. Last question before we wrap up. It is, this is kind of a quiz question. When was the last time Accies were in 2 finals in 1 year?
Huh?
It's an interesting question, isn't it?
I don't know, you need to ask Struthers.
We are finalists in the Football Content Awards 2023. We are up for Best Club Content Creator International, because obviously we're Scottish, so we count as international down there. But listen, I'm buzzing. I'm no lying, I'm buzzing. Got the email last night from the founder of Football Content Awards, basically saying that thanks to the content we produce, but thanks to everybody for tweeting and emailing and going on the website and all that, you have got us to the finals. I don't know who the other nominees are. We'll find out. We'll find out on Monday. But we're going to go down. It's in Liverpool and at Anfield, and I mean, we're all very excited. Me, you, and David are hopefully going to head down together, and it's going to be great, man. And thank you, everybody.
You for voting, but,
thank you.
Football Content finalists, we know what we are. We know what we are.
We know what we are. Football Content finalists. It doesn't have the same ring to it as others.
But the same ring as Champions Open, but
listen, thank you everybody for watching the content, for getting involved, for coming and saying hello to us in match days. We get a lot of that now, and it's great. And thank you for voting for us. Voting opens on Monday. We'll put a clip out. We'll put this clip out probably on Monday with the link. So please go and vote again. If you've done it already, it doesn't matter. Go and do it again. I'm assuming it will be on their website and an email, maybe a tweet as well. But please go and do that. Going down there is brilliant. To be the cliche, to be nominated is brilliant. But imagine going down there and Accies win a content award, man.
Even just fucking being nominated and get to the final of that, like, well, we've got a support of not a lot, but it just shows credit that all this sort of time and effort we put in is worked. Obviously, you starting this and whatnot is worked, and I'm sure the fans very much appreciate things which we're doing. It just sort of confirms that Accies are massive. Accies are massive, mate. I mean, we'll be up against Man United, Arsenal. I'm assuming Celtic and Rangers will be there. Welsh sides, Irish sides. So I saw a French team that was Toulouse. I think this is what I mean. So, listen, we're up against the big dogs, but you know what we are? We're underdogs, mate, and that's what we like. Even though we're massive, we're underdogs, and we always go into these sort of scenarios as the sort of underdog, but we sometimes come out the winner, so who knows? So you never know. But listen, guys, thank you very much for listening. We really appreciate it. All the links to our socials are in, of course, in the description. Hit subscribe, hit like, share this podcast all around, and we'll speak to you again soon. See you later.